Yes, my name is Dr.Okoye. I'm a medical doctor, medical director of a hospital here in London area, and I'm the national chairman of the Overseas Fellowship of Nigerian Christians. Part of the focus and the ethos of the OFNC is actually a group of Christians coming together from diverse backgrounds, different churches, different locations. We've got about 20 branches around the country, and there were about 250 different churches represented within the OFNC. So looking at Nigerians, British actually, who have roots, Nigerian extraction actually being in the UK and coming together. There's a need to actually have that passion that you find within the Christian, family, which we kind of miss, being here in the UK in a slightly different culture. So it's actually coming together, supporting each other. But the unique thing about the OFNC is that, like I said, we're not an organized church. It's just a fellowship of Christians. And part of the motto of the OFNC is actually being effective in your local churches, as well as evangelizing through your local churches. So OFNC is actually there to equip Christians actually to be active and very effective in the community. So there is a lot of interface between what we do and what actually happens in the community at large. As a chairman, I'm actually like the CEO for the Overseas Fellowship of Nigerian Christians. We've got what we call a board of directors, which we call the National Executive Council. The National Executive Council consists of what we call area secretaries. Each branch has an area secretary, and each area secretary is a member of the National Executive Council. So we've got about 30, all in all, we have about 32 officers within the National Executive Council. And I oversee all the branches around the country. So it's quite intensive in terms of the amount of work you need to do, especially when you're combining that with full-time, medical practice. But it's really quite interesting when you see what the Lord can do in terms of empowering you, working on your time, expanding your time, and I enjoy every bit of it. It's really quite exciting. In the past, I think part of the problems that we had as a charity was that actually trying to have a structural base, and being able to have a system that kind of worked, because accountability and being able to, to manage your books and be up to date with Charity Commission and all that has always been a bit of a difficulty for ethnic minority groups, But over the years, we've actually been able to overcome that by putting in place significant structures and a system that works pretty well. And now we've got an administrative base within the OFNC, which actually is a bit removed from the generality of the National Executive Council. So it's not dependent on the board. Out of the board, we've got an administrative strength of about 6 or 7 officers who are actually empowered to be able to make decisions on behalf of the rest of the board and the community. So that allows us to be efficient in terms of what we do. So the difficulties we used to have around submitting your returns in time to the Charity Commission and all that has actually been eliminated by and large, because we have a smaller clique within which you can actually make a decision pretty fast and quite on time, which then means that you're able to key into your functionality and increase the efficiency and also stops wastage. On succession planning, a lot of energy goes into that, and in fact the youth ministry is one of the strongest ministries within the OFNC. Like I said, we've got 20 branches around the country. And every Easter bank holiday, for instance, starting from Good Friday to Easter Monday, for the past 20 years, or 22 years actually, even before, we've actually had, every year we have youths from all over the country. Part of our passion is actually to prepare the next generation. So there's a lot of focus on succession planning. A lot of our energy goes into that. And in fact, the youth ministry is one of the strongest ministries within the OFNC. Like I said, we've got 20 branches around the country, and every Easter bank holiday, for instance, starting from Good Friday to Easter Monday, for the past 20 years, or 22 years actually, even before, we've actually had, every year we have youths from all over the country come to a youth camp, and over the years it's actually grown to about 250 to 300 youths from all over the country. Primarily ethnic minority youth, not limited to Nigerian youth, but majority of them are Nigerian. But it's such an empowering focus group, because you have young people from all over the country who have a core belief, and whose foundation is actually laid on Christian values, coming together, empowering each other, supporting each other, and we invest a lot. We get youth ministers to talk to them, but also get career, a lot of professionals, because OFNC has a wide range of professionals. So we always get professionals actually coming there, people at the tops of their careers, talking them through and positioning them and challenging them and giving them that focus in order to begin to think about the future, really. Part of our challenge to our youth, and like in the last conference for this year, which when I spoke with them, I said, "Good guys, you need to be thinking about yourselves in Westminster. Want to raise the next generation of significant number of ethnic minority young people actually taking their rightful place in the seat of government." So there is a lot of focus on that. Apart from the youth conference, we have an all year round activity. We've got different levels of interface with the younger generation. There's the 18 to 30 group which we have, which again is those in university and just post-university who are working, about to get married. So their needs are a bit different, but again, that group is there and it's quite a large group. We have activities for our youth to run all year round, at least 6 or 7 different events that we actually have working with the youths. Part of what we're looking at doing again with the OFNC, we want to come into the London ethnic minority crime scene, because we look at the history and you look at the papers. It's always been Nigerian child involved in one incident or the other. So we kind of looked at what we have. Within the OFNC, we've got significant number of key professionals, men and women, in high offices, who are really at the top of their game. And these are natural mentors. We feel that they will be natural mentors to these young ethnic minority boys and girls, particularly the Nigerian ones among them, in order to try and guide them out of this abyss, of destruction that we see all around us with the young people. So we're really quite driven by, preparing the next generation to take their rightful place in the land. In January of this year, the OFNC organized, alongside a group called the Love Just, charity, we actually had what we call a candlelight vigil opposite Nigerian High Commission, because that was in protest of the Boko Haram killing of Christians and burning of churches in Nigeria. Again, that had key church leaders all attended and came into that conference, and it was amazing. It was a rally, but quite peaceful and quite a lot of prayer, focusing that, because we felt that there's a need for us to do our own thing a bit different, bring the Christian peace for which Christianity is known into it. The OFNC has come to exist as a result of the needs that we find ourselves needing to meet here in Britain, and that's the stem. So it's actually stemmed out of the needs around us within the Britain. That's the stem of the trunk of the tree, and then we're diversifying and keying into everything. So the vision is actually global. It's a kingdom focus, so it's not limited to Nigeria. So we partner with any Christian organization, any Christian activity that we do feel has a potential to actually build a kingdom. So for instance, the Global Day of Prayer, which we know is coming up in September of this year. Dr. Dr.Okoye is the convener in the London area. The OFNC is actively involved in that. But in terms of physical involvement, financial, spiritual, we're just supporting that with everything we have. So we're actually we're mapping out the locations of Nigerian-led churches, or key Nigerian ministers have churches, and then bringing them together to fellowship with the OFNC group within that region. And apart from that, we're also interacting significantly with the majority white churches. So because we do believe that in the OFNC there's a need for us as Nigerian Christians to actually be, like I said, relevant in the society, be a key part of this organization and building this nation. We don't think we're here by chance. We think the Lord has brought us here for a purpose. So we actually believe that it's important for us to be planted in the white majority churches to actually bring that fervor and passion that we Africans and Nigerians are known for. Because we're not an organized church, it's so fresh, You have new people coming in, and it's amazing when you see how the journey so far. It's an organization that started in the 1960s, by Nigerian students who came over from Nigeria to study here and felt a need to come together. So it actually started in little pockets. So actually, just in a room somewhere in South London, And over the years, we've actually seen mushroom into an organization that has thousands of membership, and has professionals across the board and all over the country. So in terms of membership, over the years, we've seen nothing but escalation and, quite enlargement from that point of view. But what I love most about the OFNC and the way, it's actually considered is the freshness of ideas, the concepts. I mean, I became national chairman last August, during the national convention, which we have annually. And it's amazing how, my perspective, his vision is so different, and you see that all the time. Somebody else comes in and there's a freshness that they bring in there, and that in itself just keeps that passion going. And it's so attractive, to different people. We have people coming from all over wanting to be a part of the OFNC. Like I said, the OFNC, it's an organization that has no barriers, actually. As far as I'm concerned, every Nigerian Christian in diaspora is a member of the OFNC. I mean, when you think about the church and how it's evolved and where we are today, a lot of people might argue that, some might think Islam is a threat, Others might argue about the atheist. We have the modern atheist who is actually, getting more and more vocal. People are anti-God, God does not exist and all that. That in itself could potentially be a difficulty. But I think over and above that is probably the ongoing debate about, the place of, same-sex, marriages within the church and how that has potential to actually divide the church. And I think that's one of the things that I feel, more than anything else in recent time has actually united the church, because I think it's an affront on the concept of marriage itself. I mean, again, remember, as far as we're concerned, the Bible is clear about how we're meant to treat people who, probably have views that are different from ours. The Bible talks about you hating the sin, but loving the sinner. So we have no grounds on which to hate somebody because they're gay or whatever. You have to love them. Christ loved everybody. So that is not negotiable. But it's still a sin as far as the Bible is concerned. But at the same time, it's not for us to judge in that sense. But we can flag it up that this is contrary to the Word of God. And I do feel that the ingress of those, liberal values into the church is actually a great danger. I think modern Islam and atheism is the liberalism that we're getting into the church. Because I think we need to maintain that those conventional wisdom that the church is actually known for. And for me, that is the main threat, the liberalism. And we're beginning to see that reflected in different aspects, of the church. I mean, see people are talking about divorce rate within the church almost being the same as in the secular society. That as a result of liberalism. But I think that in itself is a great danger. Modern Islam, modern atheism is actually the liberalism, and to what extent we're actually putting down the standards for which Christianity is actually known. So the purity is actually affected from that point of view. Where we are today and where we're going, I think, more than ever before, there is increasing relevance for the Christian to be effective agent for change in his community, in the marketplace. We should be the one that have the solution, especially now where there's so much confusion in the world, because we actually, the Bible tells us that we have the Spirit of Christ in us. And if the Spirit of Christ is in us, whatever we touch, there should be that touch of excellence. So I want to challenge us as Christians, to plug in and get connected to groups like OFNC. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be universities, anything similar where you can be sharpened, because the Bible talks about iron sharpening iron. We need to be relevant, we need to be visible in the larger society today. We shouldn't be apologetic, well, not in that sense, kind of being apologetic about Christianity. No, we should actually be the ones that are bringing the solution, especially in a confused world. So thanks.